Hey, good morning. Hello. Welcome, you guys. Monday morning. And I'm Cheryl with Craft Around the Clock and Tinker's Card Art. So welcome when you pop in. We're going to start in just a minute or two. I'm so glad that you're here. And we're going to paint more Halloween things today. So it's all about fall and Halloween at the moment. And I've just got some pieces drying here for you to start on in a minute. So as you guys come in, just say hello. Nice to see you all this morning. I'm going to get some color out, get some paint ready, get what I need. I'll show you some things I've been working on as well. So good morning. It's getting a little chill in the air. It's feeling more and more like fall. Good morning, Tracy. Hello, and thanks for sharing me in. I appreciate it. We're going to have some fun today. So thank you for making it possible for me to be here. Hi, Courtney. Good morning. Hey, Charlotte. You are right here on time. Welcome. We're going to paint some pumpkins, I think, this morning. So I was out at the flea market and craft and thrifting, and I found some cool pieces I'll show you. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you guys, my art people. So we are going to paint, and I know a lot of people here are crafters and painters. I'd love to know what you do, what your specialty or your favorite is. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Natalie. Good morning, everyone. I was just watching Pat and her beautiful creation, too. It's so fun. Like I said before to you guys, even if it's just listening in the background, at having our little community going here, just our friends online, and I just love to have something going that I can listen to all my fellow Craft Around the Clock peeps. So anyway, I had just painted... I don't know if you caught last year, I did these little sugar bowl and creamer with a little Halloween scene around it. Today we're going to do pumpkins because we've got these great round pieces. But it doesn't have to be round because this is something I just painted up. It was just it was actually that speckled kind of a thing. Speckleware, enamelware, spatterware, I forget what it's called. Hi, Julie. So this little pumpkin teapot, I had a lot of things I've thrifted on my porch here in Maine, and it's getting a little small, and I'm heading south soon, so I wanted to paint up anything that was hanging around. So this is one of my pieces. Hey, Patricia, thank you for popping in again. It's great to see newbies and my familiar faces. Hello, Barb from Pennsylvania. Yeah, we're sunny here in Florida, too. I mean, no, I'm not in Florida yet. I'm in Maine. I'm sorry. I'm going to be confused this next month on where I actually am coming from for you guys. Hi, Paula. So I had this little teapot, even though it's not a round one. Look, it's pretty cute as a pumpkin. It's super simple. It's an old tin piece. And what I generally do to prep these pieces is spray with a primer, which gives you kind of a matte base, and it takes the paint very nicely. I did not have any around nor gesso, so I've been just using what I've had. So I just use a white acrylic to base it. The pieces I'm going to do this morning were kind of more of a gloss latex, so it's been a bit of a issue getting the paint to stick, but I've got about 3 coats of an orange on there, so we're going to work with those. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that. And hi, Ellen, Jacqueline. Thank you. Australia. Welcome. And hi, Joe. So I found at the flea market this weekend, and I got this teapot for $2.50, and it's perfect for a little pumpkin. So it's just an old metal tin piece. I have... base coated, but what I would recommend, like I said, I don't have my primer handy, but if you have primer, I put a spray primer that gives you a nice base to start with. And I'm going to paint the little sugar and creamer this morning as pumpkins. If you check my page and scroll back, or I'll try to remember to repost, I did a set last year that I just did a little scene similar to this. I'm painting this old lunchbox right now. So I did a little scene similar to this with the haunted house. I'm going to put a witch flying across the moon. I did it on a little sugar and creamer set. It was really cool last year. And down here, I'll probably put maybe some witches, bats, all kinds of Halloween things. So like I said, I'm trying to get these pieces off my porch and just paint it into my little shop I have nearby. So welcome, Cynthia, Natalie. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. If you guys let us know, let your friends, let your crafty peeps know that we're here. It is so appreciated. I'm Cheryl from Tinker's Card Art. If you're new, I love to paint. I teach painting online and in person. I do it very slowly and methodically for those of you who are brand new and afraid to start painting. If it's a scene that has a little more detail, I will certainly give you a tracer. But today, we're just going to kind of sketch on some eyes and a mouth and a nose. And these are super simple, these little pumpkins. Just a little to show you before we start, because these are drying a tiny bit. I have painted this sort of thing on lots of things. I finished a globe. This is just getting prepped, but I did a globe with a big pumpkin face. Super simple, but so much fun. This one, I think I'm going to paint yellow and make it a man in the moon. I've painted man in the moon on the globes before. Oh, wait, please check, because you know where we are here in this land of crazy things happening. Please do check that we are following. And I also have a link in my description for my private community that is off the platform if you would like to jump in there too. And we also have a link there for Craft Around the Clock. If you are a Tinker's Cart Art viewer, I would love it if you joined us over on Craft Around the Clock too. We have different segments every 45 minutes of all sorts of crafting. So welcome you guys, Terry and Jana. Pat, I just saw your project. It was so cool. I love waking up and listening to everybody just out there chatting and crafting. I know you might have seen it last week. This is the little busted canvas that I painted with my art membership group. This was a lot of fun, and I'm kind of using the pumpkin from this piece as my guide to do these pumpkin pieces. Last week we painted, I kind of forgot, maybe the week before. I will repost the video. I forgot to post the link. We painted some little trick-or-treat bags, and this is the little one with the ghosties. So I paint on everything, fabric, canvas, you name it. Look at what I picked up at the flea market. It's already orange. Kit, it's so good to see you. Welcome. And hi, Milan. And this is already orange. Now, it's a shiny tin piece. How it's going to take the paint, I'm not sure. But I think I will go ahead and use my all-purpose paints that I use for my painting glassware. And this is already orange, so it's going to be great for something. Halloween, maybe bats. I'm not sure. Actually, speaking of bats, I don't have the sample, but my art membership group, we meet at 2 today on Zoom, and we are painting bats, which I think would be great in the middle of that busted canvas. One of you guys suggested that to me, so I'm so happy for the suggestion. Thank you guys for the stars. You're so generous. Thank you. I appreciate it. These are dry. The big teapot's still drying, but let's get started and jump in and do simple little pumpkin faces on these guys. Now, I love painting on the old silver-plated pieces, especially the more ornate teapots and creamers and sugars, and it doesn't have to be a seasonal thing like this. You could paint a floral or anything on them. So think outside the box when you're thrifting or looking around on what you have to paint, because you can paint on almost anything. You might have seen my little ukuleles, but now I found a little toy guitar. I'm painting on that this week as well. So stay tuned. And I also have 2 pairs of ice skates down there. Ice skates are really fun to make a little door decor with. So it's all coming. But let's do these guys. So I'm going to get my paint out. I am using just ordinary craft acrylic paints. Whatever you have. Water base is best for me. Painting these sorts of things. And we don't need many colors. I just have a random assortment of oranges and yellows. I'm going to use a little burnt sienna, which is like a red-brown. Probably a dark brown, so some black maybe mixed with another, maybe with burnt sienna. Make a dark brown. I did find when I painted the teapot here that the paint was a little draggy, so I may try some retarder, which just extends the drying time of my acrylics. We may try that today too. Hey Denise, nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. If you have any questions, please put them up here in the comments and I'll try to answer. Oh, Judy from Illinois. I'll try to answer, but if I don't, I always go back and look later on and I'll answer your questions. If it's something you want to try later on your own and you run into an issue, reach out, message me, and I'll certainly give you any answers I can or help you along. So I appreciate you guys all popping. We have a great group. Monday morning, I do like my Monday morning segments. Sometimes it's another day, but here we are. And we're going to just sketch on. Let me just grab a little pencil and just give myself an idea of where I want the eyes and things. I'm going to take up, I have some reference photos just on little pumpkin faces. I might want to do 2 different faces on these little guys. I will end up painting this little top green there too. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, it's so funny because I usually think of like the roundy ones for the pumpkins, but I had that one. I wanted it off my shelf, and I really like it now. It's pretty cute. Once I finish painting these, I will put a gloss. Maybe I have a spray Krylon or a brush on, whatever works. But I do put a clear coat on top of them. Because it's paint on the tin, it might tend to scratch off easier than other things. So that's why I do put a finish coat on them. Oh, welcome, Margie. Welcome, Linda. I love it when you tell me where you're from, too. It kind of gives me a little visual. And after a few times, I hopefully will remember that where you were from. Okay, I'm going to get that dark mixed up. I need a little black and a little brown, because I'm going to start with just actually putting the little lines around the pumpkin that are sort of that little divider inside the little bumps. And who else is working on some fall and Halloween pieces? Or have you jumped into Christmas? I'm close to wanting to do Christmas, but I'm going to wait a little bit and spend a little time with fall and Halloween. But I'd love to see actually what you're working on. I would always encourage you to post pictures. I'd love to see what you've got going on. It's always fun for me to just get some feel for what you like to do. And if you're just a crafter and you might have always wanted to try painting, please do not be afraid of jumping in. You don't have to know how to draw a straight line. You don't have to paint faces. We can go along step by step. So please, I'd love it if you try it sometime. All right. A couple different brushes I use. I use some round brushes, like a little detail one maybe for my lines. But a lot of times you can get a nice, straight, thin line, believe it or not, with a flat brush if you use it on the chisel edge. So the flat brushes are very versatile. You can use those for quite a bit. If I was painting the big pumpkin, I probably would use that chisel edge. I might divide with my littler brush now because these guys are small. And I also have another liner brush. Liner brushes have a long tip, and it allows me to hold a lot of paint in it and do a nice long line without having to always reload. That's why the liner brushes are handy as well. Let's see, Margie, still doing Christmas. I'd love to see what you're doing, so I'm going to scroll back a little bit if I can see it. Let's see. Hey, Lisa Marie. Oh, that's a great idea, Margie. I love that versatility of having the board. You can just turn it when you're ready to move on to Christmas. I love that idea. Thank you. Spring colors and pumpkins. Yes. Did you see? Oh, I don't have it because I brought it to the shop. I do have some. A couple of weeks ago, I think I did some pastel pumpkins. You can find that on my page. And if you want, look over on YouTube. I have some free lessons there of various things you might want to look at. But I was just going to do, and I almost did it this morning, on the wood slices I have. I was going to do a little scene of a ghost on a pink background, which I love, like the little tote bag, but with flowers and like a little ghosty flying over a field or something. So that's going to be later. I saw Lisa Marie make a comment. What did you? Oh, thank you. What's really big? Halloween. Oh, spring. Yes, I do. But I just love the whole, I'm into the teal pink thing for the last year or two. And so I always adapt it to some of the holiday, like Santa in a pink coat instead of red, maybe. So yeah, I think you can just mix things up to suit your own personal style too. All right. I'm sorry. I've been yakking way too much. Let me go in here and I'm just going to mix some brown and black. I'm thinning my paint down because I'm just going to do those little lines, those little divider lines. And I do want the paint to flow nicely, so that's why I add water to it. And I'm going to just get those lines in now. They don't have to be perfectly straight. They don't have to be, just get a little line in. And feel free to actually sketch these first if you want to. I'm going to start maybe on this side curving them out a little bit. You can get an idea of the cat here. That's the pumpkin I'm sort of going to kind of copy. Can you see how it's orange? But I also add a lot of yellow in and then a few highlights of a light yellow, almost white, to give it dimension. And it's a flat surface, but it's going to look rounded. These guys are not a flat surface, but we're going to still shade it the same way. So you can, oh, Lois from Vermont. See, I'm starting to remember. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to get my little lines on here so we can get going. I'm going to kind of curve these ones out a little bit. I'm using a light touch. I'm not worried. Don't get all tense and worried when you're painting because honestly, anything that you don't like, you could paint over. I could wipe it off really quickly if it didn't work. Alcohol is handy to have. That will take off the acrylic paint. If you are stuck and don't like it, you could just wipe it off that way. So can you see I've got the center line? Now I've just sort of curved them out a little bit. We'll do this one upside down, see what happens. Really super thin paint. It will wipe right off if I don't like the way it's going. I'm going to enjoy the process. I want you to enjoy the process of painting and creating, not stressing that it doesn't look like mine, it doesn't look like my neighbors, I want it to look different. Embrace what you've done yourself, and doesn't have to. If I paint this twice, it's not going to look the same. So mine's not going to even look like mine. I got a little wide on the spacing on the back, but that's okay. And let's do the other one, the little creamer. This would even be cute on its own. Little pumpkin painting, stick in a little bit of dried flowers or some leaves or something. That would be cute. And you know what I saw on Pinterest, and I think it's absolutely adorable, and if I could find enough little creamers, they took the fancy little sugar bowls, rather, and especially the fancier ones look cool, and then they painted this as a little body, so basically maybe even gluing on a few buttons, very simple, and then stuck a pumpkin on the top, a little pumpkin, and it looked like the body. So the pumpkin head, you paint the pumpkin head and stick it on the little bottom. They were adorable, and a lot of them were left even as the silver plate, which was kind of cool. So there's just so many uses for things that you think you might not want anymore. Here's the thing with this, you got to kind of line it up the way I did there. Line it up where the little lines go. Okay. I love the little shape of this guy. And I'm not even going to paint the green on the top till last because I'm going to keep holding it by that and it will just come right off. So let's just do that little green stem. And maybe, yeah, green stem. We'll do that at the end. So great to see you guys popping in. I love it. Get our lines on here. And then I'm just going to shade. So when we want to make something that's usually flat, although this is a dimensional piece, we use our shading to make it look like shadows and highlights, and that will make like a flat area look rounded. So that's what we're going to do. Even though these are little fun, whimsical pieces, we still want to shade these little sections of pumpkin so that they look like they're really bumping out and having the shape of a pumpkin. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. Pretty simple. All right, we're going to put an extra little slice there. So that's how we start. I painted it orange to begin with. So if you've just popped in, I would recommend on any old tin pieces is to just, I put a spray primer. I just get it at the hardware store, kind of a gray or whatever color you want, and then paint over it with your acrylic. A few coats. That's where we are here. So we've got the orange on there, and we've just painted on those little bits. Now I'm going to go to a bigger brush so that I can paint with both the orange and some of the brown to get the little sections a little darker. So I'm going to take a few more shades out of orange onto my palette here. So I have a dark orange there. I'll get a little bit of a lighter orange. I'm going to use some yellows, so I'll get a few yellows out. And we have white. And these are the colors that we'll use the darks to shade. Then we're going to get into these yellows and maybe like a really light, not quite white, but almost white highlight on a few of the sections of the pumpkin. I do like the Deco Art Americana craft paints. Whatever you have will work. I usually pick out a lot of times by what colors I like. And look at this shade of yellow. So a couple of shades of yellow. Now, you don't need all these colors, and I am always telling you guys, like, less is more. You can mix your colors. You can add white to these oranges and lighten them. But I've got a whole bunch of colors here, so I'm just going to put out the little different shades there. Hi, Carol and Pam. Good morning. Nice to see you. Hi, Patty. Okay, I'll get my flat brush. I'll get a couple sizes. I love these flat brushes in different sizes. So, and these are just a synthetic brush from just the craft stores. Very inexpensive. So it doesn't cost a lot to get started if you think you might want to start painting. I encourage you to jump right in and start painting. All right, so what we want to do is get a little bit of a darker shade. Let's get the burnt sienna, which is just a red-brown. And where I want the shadows is to be around these lines. Now, our color is not going to cover up that, so I can almost go right over the lines and get a little bit of a darker bit. I want it to be a little darker around the lines there. And so I'm going to do a few at a time. I'm not going to go and do the whole piece because I want to blend this into my orange. So I'm going to go into even a darker brown here. Let's get a little darker brown. And I am going to try, because the paint's drying super fast on this piece, I'm using it's a medium that just slows down the color drying. It's a Golden makes a retarder. Other companies make it. I think Deco Art has one. It's just clear, and it's just going to help me to blend a little bit easier than having the paint dry super fast. I tend to paint a little with my acrylic, especially if I'm doing landscapes and different things, as if I'm using my oil paints. I love oil painting. That was my original love. I love the idea that you can blend and blend and blend, but you can't do that always with acrylics. So I either paint very fast and try to blend, or I'm using this medium here now. I can go in with a little bit of a lighter orange now and kind of, oops, that's really kind of a brownie color. But I just want it to blend. I don't want it to look like a harsh line down the side of each section. So you can see it's looking just a little bit blended there. Trial and error too, because I tried that light orange on there and it almost looked like a gray. So we'll stick with the dark. And the reason I'm doing a few sections at a time is so that I can blend. If I was working in oil paints, I could go around to the whole thing, load on those darks, come back to it and still soften it. But these are drying faster, so we're just doing it with that medium and a little darker. Now, we get darker on the edge in those little creases, say. Then I want the middle to be lighter. So that's how we get it to be three-dimensional looking. We can make a shadow, and then where the highest bits are bumped out, say, these little bumps, it'll be lighter in those spots. So let's go in there now with some yellow. Let's get some yellow in there. I'm just randomly kind of putting it in. I tend to paint a little more painterly. I don't worry about blending perfectly. Now, whatever your style is, you can work with that. Some people like a very fine blend. But I like to go in, and almost so that you can see my brush strokes a bit. So, and I'm slowly building it up. I've got a little bit of a yellow there to lighten it a bit. And I'll let it dry, and then I'll see, oh, it needs to be blended a little more, or highlighted a little more. So it's getting there. It's looking, I know there's a glare on that shine there. I'm sorry about that. But, Peggy, float medium would work perfectly well too, because I love the folk art floating medium. I just don't have it here in Maine. I have it on my table in Florida. But yes, that same thing would work. It just give you a little time to blend. And it's a little heavy, and it's really a nice feel for blending. So yes, that's exactly it. I might take a different shade of orange, or I'm going to mix this orange a little lighter. Of course, I'm working upside down here, but you guys can tell me if it looks all right. This is the back side, so I'm starting on the back, so if I don't love it, it's the back side. But what's going to make it really pop is when I take white with this yellow. And I know it looks almost white in the other painting, but I want it to be a little warmer, so it's white with just a tad of yellow in it. And you can slowly get lighter until you get the shade you like. And then I might just want some lights here and there. Maybe not everywhere. It's looking very white. I want it to look a little more yellow. I'm going to have to turn it just so I can look at it for a second. See what I think there. Let's see. And hold it away, because no one's looking this close at your paintings and things. You got to really get some distance. And I'm going to get some more yellow in there. I'm just kind of like patting it on there, blending it a tiny bit. And this is, I think, good for, it looks, I know the glare, sorry about that. Let's see if I can get rid of the glare for a minute. It's hard to see the highlight with the glare, but you get the idea. Stacey, paint off of, I painted over like this little enamel-y one here. I just did a primer and painted, and same with the stainless steel or the silver plate. I just go clean it, alcohol, clean it up good, and paint it with a primer, spray primer, and then I paint right over it. So that's how I prep these pieces. So let me just go ahead now, and I'm going to do just what I showed you there. I'm just going to put some dark browns over the creases. I'm going to mix some of that medium right with my paint, so that way it'll give me some extra drying time. So what I'm trying to avoid is, okay, here's how I'm putting this dark over, right? But I don't want it to look like a stripe. So mixing that retarder or the float medium or what have you is going to give me time to just dry my brush off, right? Just dry it off and just soften those edges. It just gives you a little time to do that. And it makes a big difference. I could go back in and get it darker if I needed to. I'm just avoiding it to look like a stripe. And I might make it a little darker now because I have time. I'm going to go and do all of my edges here. I know I said not to do them all, but I find that the retarder is really giving me the time to work. I had a heck of a time with the other teapot because I didn't use this. So now I've learned that this is going to really help. And now I'm going to just blend that a bit. I'm going to clean off my brush, load it with some of the yellow now, and maybe some orange to blend it first. But I'm going to keep a little bit of that retarder in my paint. So I'll get my orange here. And if I have to just soften it with the orange paint. It's kind of nice. It just gives it another coat of orange. Like I said, I have a couple of shades there. Now I'm just I don't need to even wash that brush. Dry it off. Right into my yellow. And in between, in the middle is where I'm starting with the yellow. See how it's getting a shape? Even though it's shaped like this little pear shaped of the actual little sugar bowl, it's going to start getting a shape of looking like the little sections are bumped out. And I really am fighting with that. I don't want you to have to see all that glare. It's a little better there. Of course, it's dark for me to see it here, but let's just try this. And when the paint dries and the retarder medium dries, it won't be shiny like that. So I'm just getting rough little brush strokes of yellow in the middle. As it dries and fades away, I just take a little more, and I can be a little more brave and go a little heavier with it in places too. Like I said, I sometimes like to be a little more painterly, which means you can kind of see my brush strokes. Getting there. I'm going to go with the lighter shade now, a little bit of white with that yellow. I'm going to turn it towards me for a minute just so I can see what I'm doing here a little bit. And when they get little eyes and little features on them, the crazy mouths. I've also painted some little pumpkins similar to this. You'd start them just like this. But then you could go ahead and for their eyes and mouth and nose, I look up those vintage pumpkin decorations from years ago where they have those kind of crazy, almost kind of creepy-ish eyes painted in those crazy mouths. Those are fun to paint as well. I've done those as little ornaments with little ceramic balls. Or you could just really be simple and just do, a little traditional little face. Let's see what this looks like. And honestly, for me, holding it up on the camera is very telling because I can see what it looks like better than right here in front of me. It gives me a little distance. Let's see. What do you think? It's starting to get some shape. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Diane. Okay. That's the gist of it. The little handles, just for fun, I think I will just go and just give them a little highlight of some yellow. I'm using kind of a yellowy orange. I gotta be careful where I touch it now. I'm gonna turn this light back on because I can't really see. Sorry guys. And I'm just gonna keep going as I picked up some black. I'm gonna do the same thing on the little picture, so you'll see me do it again. If you're just jumping in or you just want to get another idea of how I was painting these. But I like to get a little more yellow and a little bit of a glow on here in some places. And it's almost, can you see, I'm just kind of like slapping down the color. I like the wide brush stroke and I can almost just slap it in a few places like that. I just like the texture that gives me. Here, let's see, I can show it to you this way. I am a little brighter at the tippy tops. Oh, thanks, Nance. Thank you, and good morning. Yeah, so let's put the little green stem on there. Let it dry. We'll go do the little creamer. We'll put their face on, and we can even start on the bigger teapot, perhaps. Let's just see where we're at here. Okay. So I need to get a dark green. I usually start painting with a darker of whatever color I'm using and then like for the little stem and then I'll highlight it with a little lighter green. So we'll get a little green out here. Ooh, that's way too much. That came out way too fast. We could paint like 100 stems now. But anyway, hi Lori and Angie. Thank you guys. If you're new, welcome. I'm going to get a little bit of a different green that's going to cover better because of that white underpainting. It's a little bit tougher to cover. Welcome, you guys. I'm Cheryl from Tinker's Cut Art if you're new to me, and I love to paint, and I'm painting lots of quirky things. So here we are doing a little sugar bowl and creamer to look like pumpkins for fall. So we'll get a couple coats. I usually prep the tin by priming it but I didn't have any primer, so I did it with just a paint, which had a gloss to it. So that's why it's a little bit, takes a few coats to cover, but it is working. I was panicking a little bit when I was putting the coats on this morning. Take a little black into that green now, just to darken it up. Let it dry good, and we'll just do two or three coats of that. So it's just going to be that little green bit there. Set that aside, and if you're new, let me show you how we did that effect on the little creamer. Hi, Robin. Hi, Stephanie. And I'm going to move that aside. And if anybody is new here, we are just we're painting like little odd items to look like pumpkins today. You can do it on almost anything. Square pieces of wood, chunky bits. Don't think it has to be the round shape. It's really cool. You know what I saw yesterday I almost grabbed, but I probably have one, is a martini shaker. You know, that was a cool shape. This was an exceptionally tall one, but I thought, wouldn't that be cool with a pumpkin face on it? That would be cool. Linda, you're not the only one. It's been crazy this morning. I know on Pat's group, she had that. When I'm trying to watch the segments on my laptop, I'm constantly kicked off too. I don't know what it is. It's the whole platform. So I apologize for that, but it's been happening to me too. I don't know. Hopefully that will get resolved. This little guy, I just put my little stripes on of the dark brown. Oh, Robin, good. And you know what? If you look on Pinterest too, there's so many ideas of not just Halloween, but if you want to do florals and different designs. And there's so many, you know, come across some of that silver plate stuff at yard sales quite a bit and at a good price. So, and I love them. Even, I haven't done it with the whole tray set yet. I've just done the 3 pieces, but wouldn't it be cool to have the whole tray painted? And then if you have a little place to set that little set, it would, even to mix, to change them out for different holidays would be cool. So yeah, and this little, if you missed it, this little one I bought is orange little enamel. I'm going to figure out something for that, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so start again. I'm just going to take my flat brush. I'm going to take a little of the medium on it. It's just a slow drying medium and some of the dark brown. And I'm going to just get a little darker around my little dividing lines. On my teapot there too, I did at the end put a little bit of a glaze of brown on it here and there. And then I speckled it with a toothbrush, brown speckles. I just like the way it antiqued it up a little bit. If you can see real close, you might be able to see the little speckles. And I love that little glass top knob on the top, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're just getting the shadows in. So the shadows in a pumpkin would be in the creases, right? In those little creases. And I'm going to get a little darker, adding a little black to my brown now. I saw how it went out. I wanted it a little darker. I can even dry off my brush. I know it's off the camera here, but I just take a paper towel handy and I just dry off the brush in between colors. Unless I'm going to a much lighter color, I will sometimes just dry the brush off and keep going. And I'm going to do that now with the orange. I'm going to go back in now. Little orange with that dry, slow drying medium. Softening those edges. You don't have to be super careful though. Some areas are thicker and thinner. It's kind of already got a cool look. I'm just doing the one side and then I'll turn it around to the other side. I'll get that little line sort of softened. Now, if it turns out and you don't have enough dark in those little creases, you can just go back and add more. That's the great thing about the acrylic and the painting. You can adjust on the fly. You can fix anything. If you didn't like it, you could paint this whole thing over with the primer. So don't stress when you're painting. Just enjoy the process. Alrighty, so there, I've lost a little of the dark there, so I can certainly go in and add a little more. Alrighty, now I am going to a lighter color and I'm going to yellow, so I will wash my brush out. When you do that, try to absorb all the water you can out. We don't want it to be watery. There are times when we do wash techniques, but right now we don't want any water in that brush, so we're just kind of dabbing that off there. I'm going to go into some of the yellows. And again, it's kind of a warmer, goldy, orangey yellow I'm going with, rather than a harsh, like a primary yellow, which is a very cold color. I'm going with a warm yellow. It's sandy. And I'm going right in the middle of those lines just to get a little lighter in there. I can even go with a lighter orange. And again, let's see if I tip it. Maybe you can see it without the glare. Hi, Sandy. Nice to see you here. And Sorry about that glare. I need the light to paint, but yet when I turn it off, I'm having a hard time seeing. But once it dries, like I say, it'll be not shiny and you can kind of see what's going on. So I'm going to be like on a painting marathon this week. Pat, right? I hope so too. It's because every time I tune in on my laptop, especially to watch, it just automatically shuts down and I keep going back and forth. It's okay on my mobile usually, but it's funny how on the laptop I keep getting kicked out and in again. But so anyways, my painting marathon, I will be leaving Maine in about 2 or 3 weeks to head to Florida, where last winter was my first winter I spent in Florida. And I have a little shop here next door, a little vintage where you rent your booths, and I keep my painted things there. And it's great because I can use my samples and it's a place to put things. But my porch from my thrifting is overrun. So I'm taking the biggest things first, painting them up, sending them over there. If you're just popped in, I'm working on this old lunchbox. I did a nice big globe. So I'm going to get this ready to paint. I'm going to do Man in the Moon, but this as a pumpkin is cool. Ice skates, guitars, little shoes, you name it, you could paint on it. So even I have to try to keep my mind open a little bit when I'm thrifting, because it's sometimes I don't see everything I should, but keep your eyes open for unusual things that you could paint on. So much fun. And if it's a seasonal thing, even better, because you put it out for the season, then you put it away and you can change it out. It doesn't have to be, we have to find room for it for always. So I've got all kinds of projects lined up for before I go, so I could stock my little shop up so that while I'm not here, I would have enough things in there. And then I can go thrifting and buy more, as you guys know that feeling, right? I am. Ellen, I'm in Lakeland, so I'm up between Tampa and Orlando. And I know there's when Deb gets back on her feet, she's very near me in Groveland. And then we have a lot of us that are sort of in the same area. So I would love to get together when I'm there. So keep it in mind. If you're in that area, message me and we'll make a list and make a plan and try to get together. I'd love that. Oh, Linda, thank you. I don't know. I just kind of find things and paint them. I know, Robin, I didn't plan on doing Halloween on this. I've been saving it to paint something special on, but I'm like, it's getting off my porch. It's just an old ratty one, an old tin one. And I thought, I do love painting those little silhouettes of haunted houses and that sort of thing. So here we go. Now it's looking like a little pumpkin more. We'll switch to the other side. And, I've been bad. I haven't even watched time today. So what did I come on? 9:15, right? So I only have till 10. So we have about 8 more minutes. So we're doing pretty good. We won't paint the teapot. This will be fun, you guys. Watch, I'll finish that. And let's just do the shading and highlighting here and put the eyes on. And really, that's what we have. I'm not awful about not watching the time today. But 9:15, so I have till 10. Okay. You guys will keep on me about that. This has this little inner lip. I may just take a little yellow in there and just kind of highlight. It doesn't have to have any little dividers or anything. Similar to what I did on the little handles of this guy. And I'll do the handle of this too, just with some highlights of yellow, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm holding it by the handle. Let us jump in and do the shadows again. So again, just thin lines with your thin brush. And if you weren't yakking like I was, you could work these up in no time. Great little ideas for craft fairs, art shows, all that sort of thing. Or if you teach, it might be a fun little idea for a class. And I haven't even touched on, because I'm a terrible salesperson of myself, but I do have an art membership online here. We paint together by Zoom each month, and I also have recordings. So we do three paintings a month, 2, or sometimes like this month 2 by Zoom. We have a meeting this afternoon. We're painting bats. We painted that little busted canvas last time. I paint seasonal things. I paint landscapes, still lifes. We paint a little of everything, and not so that you have to paint a little of everything, but so that you have a choice. Like if you'd rather paint animals, there's animals. You want to paint just still lifes, there's that. And so I do have that membership. I invite you to check it out. I'll remember in a minute. I'll put the link in the comments here, but you can always reach out to me. It's a nice way to have a nice community around you of fellow creators, and I take you baby step by baby step if you're a beginner. I've done the little shadow, right? The shading with my yellow now, just to lighten the middle. So you can kind of get the idea of the little bumps in the pumpkin. darker in the creases, and it bumps out, and where it's closer to you, just naturally think about it, it would be lighter. So that's where this yellow's coming in. In the middle, we're just going to put a little yellow to make it look like it's coming forward. And then I might just lighten that yellow up a tiny bit in a few places, just to really give it a little highlight, say. So let's just do that here. And when you start going to look for round things around your house to paint as pumpkins, you'll be surprised how many cool things. I've done the ceramic Christmas ornaments, or any old ornament. You find them all the time at the yard sales and things. If it has like a satiny finish, those glass ornaments, you could paint right on those. I love it when I can find the globes, but they're littler. Those are always cool to paint. There we are. First time watcher, afraid to pick up a brush. If that's what it says, don't be afraid, because what's the worst that can happen? Right? Paint it over. Start again. Try something else. If you let fear take over, then it's hard to grow. And just be, and don't judge be kind to yourself when you're painting. Step back. When you're painting a painting, nobody's looking at it here. So don't say, oh, I don't like that little. No one's going to see it. Stand 5 feet back and then look at it, and sit, and then you can be a little more, you're not so critical of your work. And even better, leave it for a day or two. And it's amazing when you come back. It really is. All right, we have 5 minutes. Let's put a face on our pumpkins. Just going to use black paint. I'm going to thin it down pretty well so that it flows. If you want to, you can certainly sketch on. I do need to sketch the mouths because they're kind of crazy with the teeth. So let's go to the front here. I know my eyes are going to go. I don't know if I want to have the eyes go over the crease here or under. I think I have to have them go over just for placement wise. Just plain old triangles. Triangle nose. And the mouth, I just sketch as a big grin, and then I put those kind of crazy where the teeth are cut out, but I have to sketch those in because otherwise I get it all messed up. So let's just paint them in. I thin my black paint down so that it flows easy. Any kind of detail work, that's what I do. And you could let it dry really well and use your paint markers if you thought that would be easier for you. You could paint more complicated features if you just look up pumpkins, faces and whatnot. I'm doing these pretty simple, just black triangles, just like we used to do as kids drawing pumpkins. But there are some creepy, fun faces for pumpkins. I might do eyes on the other bit a little different, just so we make it a little different. And you know what I think I'll do just for something different? So watch, for the big teapot, I might do one of those vintagey scary faces. Not scary, but you know those creepy vintage decorations with the crazy cats with the red eyes and the pumpkins with kind of crazy eyes? We'll do that. And I think I was going to say, I can't believe how fast the time went this morning, but I gabbed a lot in the beginning. So anyway, you're going to get the gist of this. Let me just paint that little mouth in. Little crookedy teeth. But I thank you guys for popping in this morning, and I'm going to encourage you to stick around. Again, I don't know who's after me, but it's just like a surprise. And if even in the car, I'll listen. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to work alongside. You could just enjoy the company. And you can hear the church bells. Don't the church bells always go off about 2 minutes? It's about 2 minutes off, I think, because I have like 2 minutes, I think, left. Just enough to finish this little mouth, give you the idea of it. I'm going to just dry brush a little bit of a lighter green on the stem, which is that little top handle. And I think I just kind of cut into one of my little teeth here, but let's just rearrange the shape of that mouth. And then I'm going to put a second coat. I'm not going to put it on now, but I'm going to let it dry. Second coat of the black so it's very dark. I'm not even sure what he looks like. He's got kind of a little, he's got crazy teeth. I usually have like not just 2 and 2. So what would I do in a case like that if it didn't come out right and I don't love it? Let it dry, and I just paint a little over it. I would paint a little white, cover up the part I don't like, and then a little bit of orange again. Robin, I know it looks easy, but it really is if you don't overthink it. And this recording will be here, so you can go to my page or Craft Around the Clock and watch it and stop and start. but it's basically paint it all orange, brown stripes, a little shading, and then those features, very simple. And then after that, you could always go a little more elaborate if you wished. So I'm going to go, as soon as I click off here and put my link, if anyone's interested in the description, if you click on to my community that's outside of the platform, it kind of is nice because there's no distractions in ads and whatnot. And I'll also put the link if anyone's thinking about wanting to start to paint or expand your painting experience. I'd love to have you in the membership. There's some members here that are in the group that would be happy to let you know what it's all about. So we are signing off pretty soon. I'm going to go and paint my little face on the picture, and I'm going to do the little pot today. So I'll post all of the things that I'm painting. I'll post the lunchbox when I'm finished too. So I have to jump off. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I will see you next time. Bye, guys. Thank you.